Spiritual isolation is real, especially when you feel like nobody gets you. Hi, I'm TK, and I talk about spiritual awareness, mental health, and everything in between. Now, spiritual isolation happens to everybody on your journey and on your path, and it might happen multiple times because it's a part of the growth, it's a part of the journey. Now, there's different situations that can bring up, you know, a deeper feeling of spiritual isolation, like when you leave a group or from doing certain practices. It'll make you start feeling alone in your beliefs and start doubting yourself. And trust me, I've been there. I've had my different areas of spiritual isolation that brought different clarity and different lessons to myself. Now, there's different ways you can deal with spiritual isolation, and I'm going to talk about a couple different things that will cover this. So, one of the main things is journaling. Journaling is a big tool that you can use, especially in spiritual isolation. And one of the main prompts that I like to use is, who am I now? It illustrates where you don't have to be who you were before. Who are you now? You don't have to focus on who you were before. What brought you into the isolation? What brought that up? Who are you now? That's what's really what you're focusing on, because when you're in that isolation, when you're by yourself, when you're focusing on you, that's when you can really start diving into who and what you embody in that moment. And that's the beauty of spiritual isolation and taking that time out to truly understand yourself on a deeper level. Now, you can also do little small things like go for a walk, just breath work. I'll talk about breath work all the time on this channel because it is a amazing tool to use. Just doing different breathing exercises, and you can Google different breathing exercises. There's a lot of them out there, and for different purposes of whatever you're trying to accomplish. So I'm not going to go into all that. I can go into a whole video about different breathing exercises, but no, do your own research out there. There's a lot of different breathing exercises that you can do, and you can do little things like find different people that actually think the same way that you do. And I know you might be like, well, I'm alone in my beliefs. There's not many people that believe, or there's nobody that believes in what I believe in, or have thoughts that I have. There's somebody out there. There's people out there. You just have to, look for it if that's what you so choose. To start getting little conversations. It's okay to have that isolation by yourself, but you also need to be able to bounce those ideas off of different people, different things, in order to fully grasp your perspective. It's not even fully about their perspective. It's about how their perspective, bounces off of your perspective to create a bigger whole. It's like how bats communicate with echolocation. When they send that signal out and it bounces off of everything else, then they can see exactly where they are in relation to everything else. And that's basically what talking to other people is about. Is you bounce your ideas off of them, and then you get to see a more rounded, more well-rounded picture of what you believe in and what you understand. And you can find these on YouTube. You can find it on Instagram. This channel is a great place to start because there's going to be people here that are like-minded who have different ideas. So make sure to drop your comments below and different questions and different things that you're wondering about during your spiritual isolation, because once we start getting all these different comments and different stuff going on, then that will help you as well get some more clarity on things. So guys, go ahead, drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But spiritual isolation happens multiple times and for multiple reasons throughout your path. Now, one of the main points in my life where I went through some spiritual isolation was I was a part of a spiritual community, and I got kicked out of the spiritual community at that time. And it was because my beliefs were changing. My beliefs were changing from what that community's beliefs were. And throughout that time, I isolated myself in order to figure out exactly what am I doing on my path. Who am I in this moment? Where am I now? Who am I now? You know, that journal prompt that I said earlier. And throughout this time, I've discovered so much about myself because I was doubting myself. I was doubting whether or not what I was doing was right, what I thought was my actual thoughts, what I was doing was correct actions, and all that. Because I went into, at first, a little depressive state. You know, because this will happen when you go into spiritual isolation. A lot of times it's triggered by a very strong emotion. And it could be positive or negative, it could be good or bad, you know, depending on the situation that happens, but it's usually sparked by some type of strong emotion or strong stimulus that'll happen to you. And that's what happened to me with, you know, leaving that spiritual community, because I was a part of that community for years, and it shaped who I was in that moment. So I had to rediscover who I was, had to rediscover where I was on my journey. And that was a big step for me. So through that, I learned so much about myself, and I was able to grow and find out where I wanted to be in life, where I wanted to do, who I wanted to be around, the people that I wanted to interact with. And that's one of the biggest things about spiritual isolation. You get to learn all these different things and grow so much as you are going through that isolation. It's okay to isolate yourself. It's okay to bring yourself back to a point to where you focus on you to figure out what you have going on, because once you're always interacting with everything around you, you're always out there, and you don't give yourself that time, that's a lot of times where it prompts you to get into some spiritual isolation, because you need that alone time. You need that time to reflect, that time to get rid of all the external stimulus and focus on how that external has changed you inside. So, spiritual isolation is not a bad thing. It's a tool that you can use on your path. So, I think that's about all for today. But let me know if you ever felt this way and how you feel during the different stages of your spiritual isolation. Maybe you're going through spiritual isolation right now. Comment me too if you've been there. And hey, let's get a conversation going. And always, thank you for journeying with me.